My name is Evelyn Sterling, 32 years old. I had built my life like a fortress, brick by brick, deal by deal, through nights spent hunched over glowing spreadsheets and days battling clients twice my age who never expected a quiet woman to beat them at their own game. Sterling Investments LLC was mine, born from nothing but stubbornness and ambition. The house in Austin, 4 bedrooms, polished concrete floors, glass walls that wash the rooms with sunlight, was the physical proof of a life I carved out by myself. No shortcuts, no handouts, no safety net except the one I wove from work. My family existed on the outskirts of that world. My mother, stern and unpredictable. My older sister, Madison, all chaotic energy and constant financial crises. 3 nephews, Jacob at 15, Ethan at 12, Luke at 9. Boys I saw at holidays and birthdays, but never really knew. Whenever someone needed help, I was the designated rescuer, the one who had her life together. I handed out small loans, covered bills when emergencies struck, felt guilty if I didn't answer the phone fast enough. Still, we weren't close. Not in the way people imagine when they say blood is thicker than water. That Friday night began like any other. Dinner with my friend Olivia. Talk about work, dating disasters, taxes, normal life. It was just past 8 when I drove into my neighborhood, the sun long gone, the streetlights casting quiet pools of orange light across the pavement. I turned into my driveway and hit the brakes so hard my seatbelt snapped against my chest. They were all there. My mother, my sister, all 3 nephews, a mountain of suitcases, backpacks, rolled up comforters, plastic storage bins. It looked like the aftermath of an evacuation. They were standing on my porch, illuminated by the porch light, as if they had been waiting for me like a family photo, frozen in the wrong moment. My mother descended the steps the moment my door opened. "Finally," she said, exasperated. "Open the door, Evelyn. We've been waiting for almost an hour." Something in her tone curled inside my stomach like cold wire. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. But I walked up the steps anyway because these were my people. Difficult, yes, but still family, and they all stared at me like they had been expecting this moment far longer than I had. The second I unlocked the door, the click of the deadbolt hadn't even finished echoing before Madison and the boys rushed past me. "Mom, what?" I tried, but Madison's voice cut loud through the hallway. "Okay, guys, this one can be yours. Jacob and Ethan, you 2 take the bigger room. Luke, you'll share for now. We'll rearrange everything to fit." She spoke with bright, frantic authority, like a woman hosting a house tour she had rehearsed. I followed them inside, numb, watching backpacks drop onto floors, boys peeking into closets, Madison throwing open doors like she owned every hinge. "Madison, stop! What are you doing?" She turned toward me with a smile so warm it chilled me. "Setting us up. This house is huge, Evie. Way too big for one person. We need it." "Need it." Those words rang sharply in the halls. "This is my house," I said, sharper than I expected. My mother stepped inside behind me, closing the door firmly, as if sealing us into a decision I hadn't agreed to. "Evelyn," she said in that tone she used when she wanted me to feel childish, "this house is family property now. You can't keep something this big all to yourself while your sister and nephews live in a cramped apartment with thin walls. It's selfish." I stared at her. Family property, a word she'd invented 5 seconds ago. "I bought this house," I said slowly, "with company funds, company money, my money." Madison walked closer, still smiling, still acting like this was some casual, logical arrangement. "The neighbors complain all the time. The boys can't even be kids. Here, they can actually breathe. You understand that, right?" "What I understand," I said, pulse rising, "is that you can't move into my house without asking me." Madison didn't flinch. "And since you're at work all day anyway, you should take the smallest bedroom, the one in the back. Poor lighting, but you're barely here, so it makes sense." "Are you serious?" I whispered. "You're trying to kick me out of my own bedroom?" "We're not kicking you out," my mother said sharply. "We're making practical decisions. Families support each other, Evelyn. You've spent your whole life running from that responsibility." My throat went tight. "This is insane." They ignored me. Madison began talking about paint colors and TV placement. My mother murmured about where to put the couch. They planned their takeover in front of me, like I was a ghost, rattling chains in the corner. I pulled out my phone and started dialing. Madison's head snapped toward me. "What are you doing?" "Calling the police," I said. "There are intruders in my house." My mother slid her hand into her purse and pulled out my spare house key, the one I had given her months ago after she cried about worrying I would fall in the house and no one would know. "You gave me this key," she said calmly. "That means you gave me permission to enter at any time. This isn't illegal. This is family." My stomach dropped. Madison pulled another key from her pocket. I made a copy. We both have access. And just like that, everything sharpened. This wasn't chaos. This wasn't desperation. This was planned. My mother stepped closer. "Next Friday at 9 in the morning, a moving truck will arrive with our furniture. If you involve the police again, Evelyn, I will disown you. You'll have no family at all." Then they herded the boys outside, voices bright, talking about their rooms. When the door shut behind them, silence poured into the hall. I stared at the security camera above the doorway, the one that had been there for years, the one that recorded me opening the door, welcoming them inside. They had waited for that moment, forced me to unlock it, forced it to look consensual. It wasn't just a move-in. It was a takeover, a legal trap, a theft disguised as family. Something inside me went cold, then steady. They wanted a war. Fine. They were about to get one. The house felt different after that night. Quieter, yes, but also heavier, the way a battlefield settles after the first shot is fired. I spent the entire weekend pacing between rooms, replaying every detail, the boys' excited footsteps on hardwood floors, Madison's bright, entitled confidence, my mother's cold threat. It was all there, circling like vultures. But underneath the shock, something else had begun to harden. Resolve, clarity, a refusal, finally, to be devoured. By Monday at 7:55 a.m., I was done being overwhelmed. I was in action mode. My first call was to the best locksmith in Austin, a man named Mr. Johnson, whose 5-star reviews mentioned words like meticulous, discreet, and military grade. I told him I needed every lock replaced immediately. He didn't ask questions. He just said, 2 hours, and hung up. The second call was to Apex Security, the same company Sterling Investments used for commercial buildings. When I identified myself, they shifted immediately into corporate priority mode. "I need full residential protection," I said. "Not standard, full." "We'll send a specialized team today," the technician replied. By noon, Mr. Johnson's van rolled into my driveway. He stepped out, older, silver beard, calm eyes, and went straight to work. For 3 hours, he dismantled the front door like a surgeon removing a tumor, replacing it with an entirely keyless system. Military-grade numeric keypad, reinforced steel panel, programmable access logs. No keyhole. No way in without the code. He moved on to the back door, then the windows. Every lock removed, upgraded, transformed. "These are the same locks used in federal research sites," he said, packing his tools. "So it won't be easy to get in?" He chuckled softly. "Ma'am, unless someone brings explosives, you're safer than a bank vault." Good, that was exactly the point. At 2 p.m., the Apex security team arrived. 4 technicians in Navy uniforms, carrying cases of equipment that looked like they belonged on a spy movie set. They moved with sharp focus, installing cameras in the foyer, hallways, living room, kitchen, porch, yard, every angle covered, every blind spot eliminated. "These don't just record video," the lead technician explained as he adjusted the indoor monitor. "They capture audio, crystal clear quality. All recordings upload to encrypted cloud storage immediately." "What about intrusion attempts?" He tapped the side of a small sensor. "Any door or window without the disarm code? Siren triggers. Police notified automatically. Average response time, 3 minutes." I watched them work, and for the first time since Friday, the terror inside my chest loosened. The house was becoming a fortress. Clean lines, glowing screens, quiet power humming through the walls. It was more than security. It was control returning to me piece by piece. But protection meant nothing without legal backing. On Tuesday morning, I walked into Mr. Mitchell's office with a folder under my arm and a knot of anger wrapped around my spine. He had been my attorney for years. Steady, precise, ruthless when needed. After listening to everything, from the coordinated arrival to the keys to the threat, he leaned back in his leather chair, fingers steepled thoughtfully. "This wasn't a misunderstanding," he said. "It was a coordinated attempt to seize your property through coercion and manufactured consent. They used emotional manipulation to make it look voluntary. Can they succeed legally? Not if we get ahead of it." He outlined a plan, simple, brutal, airtight. From this moment on, record every conversation, every voicemail, every text, no exceptions, and gather every official document proving your ownership through Sterling Investments, LLC. I'll prepare a notarized packet. And when they come back on Friday, you call the police immediately. Do not wait. Do not negotiate. Do not open the door. Something inside me bristled. But they'll tell the officers it's family drama. Which is why, he said, sliding a notepad toward me, we will have corporate records, notarized deeds, HOA documents, and a full paper trail. Facts override emotion. Facts. Something my mother never cared about. By Thursday, Mitchell's office called, documents ready. The stack was thick, stamped property records, corporate registrations, legal ownership verification. Every page a shield, every signature a weapon. That same afternoon, I contacted Michael, the HOA security officer. Explained everything, from the spare key to the planned move-in. His voice sharpened immediately. I'll register them as unwanted persons, he said. If they show up Friday, I'll handle first contact and alert you. When I hung up the phone, the house felt different again. Still empty, but no longer vulnerable. Friday morning arrived with a strange stillness. The air felt thick, the kind of heaviness that comes right before a storm breaks. At 8:45 a.m., I sat in my living room watching the real-time surveillance feed on my wall monitor. My heart was steady, my breathing calm. I was ready. At 8:52, a massive U-Haul turned onto my street. Behind it, Madison's car. They parked. Doors opened. Madison stepped out, confidence radiating from her like she already saw the victory flag. My mother followed, lips curved in a small, triumphant smirk. Two movers hopped out and waited for orders. Madison marched up the porch steps, reached for the door handle, and froze. The old brass keyhole was gone. In its place, a seamless steel panel, glowing keypad at the center, silent and immovable. I watched her pull back her hand as if she'd touched electricity. My mother climbed the steps behind her. What are you waiting for? Use your key. There's no key, Madison whispered. It's gone. Fear flickered through her expression. Quick, then replaced by anger. They began pounding on the panel. Evelyn, open this door right now! I didn't move. The first tremor of panic crossed my mother's face. Good. Let them feel the consequences of treating me like an ATM instead of a daughter. At 8:59 a.m., another car pulled up. Michael from the HOA stepped out, tablet in hand, walking toward them with the calm of someone who already knew he was in the right. Is there a problem here? He asked. My mother spun toward him. My daughter locked us out of our family home. Make her open the door. Michael checked his tablet. According to our records, you are registered as unwanted persons. You have no right to be here. Please leave before I call the police. My mother's face twisted into something vicious. We'll see about that. She pulled out her phone. Dialed 911. Perfect. Let everything be documented. The sirens would be here soon, and when they were, I would be ready. The distant wail of sirens began as a thin thread of sound, growing louder by the second. On the monitor, my mother stood in the yard, one hand dramatically pressed to her chest, already shaping herself into the perfect victim. Madison paced behind her, arms crossed tightly, jaw clenched with a fury she wasn't used to hiding. The movers hovered awkwardly near the truck, sensing the wrongness of the scene. I stayed inside, stayed still, stayed watching. Two police officers arrived. One woman, mid-40s, sharp eyes, no-nonsense posture. The other, younger, observant, scanning everything like he was cataloging evidence already. My mother ran toward them before they even stepped fully out of the car. She dropped to her knees on my lawn, wailing loudly enough that her voice bled through the live audio feed. Officers, please. My daughter locked us out of our home. She's having some kind of breakdown. Madison chimed in instantly, her voice warbling on cue. The boys are at school. They'll be homeless when they get out. She's taking everything from us. There were no boys, no backpacks, no urgency, just theatrics. The officers exchanged a look I knew well. The universal police expression for, we are being manipulated, but protocol requires patience. I waited 10 more seconds, let them perform, let them commit their lies onto the record. Then I stood, pressed the button on my security panel, and unlocked the front door. The metal panel slid open with a clean, mechanical click. When I stepped out onto the porch, the morning light hit me like an interrogation lamp. Both officers turned toward me. Good morning, I said, my voice calm, steady, grounded. I'm Evelyn Sterling, the legal owner of this property. The female officer gave a clipped nod. Ma'am, we received a report of a dispute regarding property ownership. Of course. I held up the thick folder Mitchell had prepared and walked down the steps, offering it to her. Here are my notarized property documents, corporate ownership registration for Sterling Investments, LLC, and proof of sole ownership. Everything is stamped, sealed, and certified. She began flipping through the pages. The younger officer read over her shoulder. Their eyes tracked the signatures, the stamps, the chain of legal ownership. My mother stood up abruptly, fury flaring. She stole this house. This is family property. She's lying. You can't believe some papers she... The officer held up a hand. Ma'am, these documents are legally binding and verify exclusive ownership. You have no legal claim to this house. My mother stared at the officer like she'd been slapped. Madison stepped forward. But we have keys. She gave them to us. That means we had access. I revoked all access, I said evenly. I changed the locks. They were informed verbally to leave. They refused. They attempted to enter anyway. Madison sputtered. You can't revoke family. The younger officer raised an eyebrow. Ma'am, that's not how property law works. The female officer turned fully toward them. Attempting to move into a residence without permission is considered criminal trespass under Texas law. If you do not leave immediately, we will have to proceed with charges. My mother's expression shifted so fast it felt violent. The fake tears wiped away, replaced by pure hatred. She stared directly into my eyes, voice low enough that only I and the camera microphones could hear. You will regret this, Evelyn, she hissed. You will die alone, completely alone. I didn't flinch. The officers heard her anyway. Both their faces hardened. Madison grabbed her arm. Mom, let's go. But my mother jerked free and stomped toward the car. Madison scrambled to grab the bags they had set on the porch earlier, tossing them into the trunk with shaking hands. The movers didn't say a word. They climbed into the truck and pulled away without waiting for final instructions. Madison's car followed seconds later, tires squealing on the pavement. The officers stayed behind. The female officer handed me her card. If they return, call us immediately. Don't open the door. Don't confront them. We will handle it. Thank you, I said. The younger officer studied me for a moment, something almost sympathetic flickering in his expression. You did the right thing. The right thing. It felt cold. It felt necessary. It felt like survival. After they left, Michael approached with his tablet. I documented everything. Video, audio, timestamps. If you need my statement, I'm available anytime. I appreciate that, I said quietly. More than you know. When he returned to his vehicle, I finally stepped back inside the house and closed the door behind me. The keypad glowed a soft blue in the silence. My fortress sealed again. The house was quiet. So quiet, I could hear the faint hum of the new security system, steady as a heartbeat. I leaned against the door and closed my eyes. They had tried to take everything. My home, my stability, my boundaries, my autonomy. And if I had faltered for even one moment, if I had opened the door again, if I had let guilt win, they would have succeeded. 3 days later, I sat in Mitchell's office signing an official application for a restraining order against both my mother and Madison. He slid the papers toward me with a steady hand. Given their actions and the police involvement, a judge will almost certainly approve it. It was approved in 3 days. That's when my phone exploded. Voicemails from my mother, some screaming, some sobbing, all manipulative. You heartless girl. I raised you alone. You'll regret pushing us away. You owe us. Text from Madison. Pages of rage. You humiliated us. The movers cost $3,500, and you owe me that money. We had nowhere else to go. You ruined our lives. I didn't respond to a single one. I took screenshots of everything, every message, every voicemail transcript, and emailed them straight to Mitchell. Then I deleted both of their contacts. My house was silent again, and for the first time in a long time, so was my mind. 3 months passed. Quiet, steady months where the house remained mine, the locks stayed untouched, and the security system hummed like a loyal guardian. My life slipped back into its familiar rhythm, not because nothing had changed, but because I had changed. There was a steadiness in me now, a clarity I had not known before. Sterling Investments surged forward with 2 major deals closing in the span of weeks, and every win felt sharper, cleaner, untainted by the constant, invisible drain of guilt I used to carry like second skin. One Friday evening, Olivia came over for dinner. We sat at my kitchen island, the pendant lights warm above us, glasses of Chardonnay half full as she watched me with that gently probing look she reserved for topics she wasn't sure I was ready for. "Have you heard from them at all?" she asked. "No, the restraining order is still active." I speared a piece of roasted vegetable, kept my tone even. "But have they tried?" she pressed, softer this time. I shrugged. "Mitchell told me Madison attempted to send a letter through a cousin. The cousin refused to get involved. Smart choice." "What did the letter say?" "I don't know," I said. "I told her to throw it out without reading it." Olivia's brows pinched with sympathy. "Your mom's been telling people you stole her retirement plan." I snorted. "She never had a retirement plan. She had a plan to take my house." Olivia sighed. "People are talking, Evie, in your family, in the neighborhood. It's become this whole thing." "Let them talk," I said calmly. "Everyone who matters knows the truth. The police know. The HOA documented everything. Mitchell has the full record." "But your aunts and uncles—" "I don't care," I said sharply, then softened my tone. "They weren't there. They didn't see Mom pull out that spare key like it was a weapon. They didn't hear Madison telling her kids which rooms they were taking. They didn't hear Mom threaten to disown me if I called the police." Olivia watched me quietly. "Do you think you'll ever reconcile?" "No." The answer came easily. "They didn't make a mistake. They made a plan, a coordinated one, and it failed." She nodded slowly, sipping her wine. "Just wanted to make sure you were okay." "I'm more than okay," I said. "I'm free." A week later, I ran into my cousin Rachel in the grocery store. She had always been the quiet one in the family, the neutral one who never stirred the pot. She approached me cautiously, pushing a cart filled with pantry staples and clearance fruits. "Evelyn," she said. "Hey, been meaning to talk to you." "Hey, Rachel, what's up?" She hesitated, glancing around before lowering her voice. "Your mom and Madison, things have gotten bad. Really bad." I raised a brow. "I know about the U-Haul fees and Madison's eviction situation." "It's worse," she whispered. "Madison couldn't find an apartment in time. She had to move in with your mom." I blinked. "All 3 boys in that tiny place?" Rachel nodded grimly. 5 people in a 2-bedroom. The boys are miserable. The neighbors complain nonstop. Mom's building is basically threatening them now. Something flickered in me. A small, faint twitch of emotion. Not guilt, not regret, just acknowledgement. A recognition that consequences had arrived exactly where they belonged. "That's unfortunate," I said after a moment, "but not unexpected." Rachel studied me. "You really don't care, do you?" I met her gaze calmly. "They tried to steal my house, Rachel. They had a moving truck. They were going to put me in the smallest bedroom. They planned it, practiced it. They waited until I opened the door so the camera would show I let them in. They threatened to disown me if I called the police. They weren't desperate. They were executing a takeover." Rachel swallowed hard. "When you say it like that—" "It's the truth," I said. "Not a version of it. The whole thing." She nodded slowly. "People know. I mean, everyone in the family knows what really happened now. You're not the villain they tried to make you." I considered that, then shrugged lightly. "I'm not interested in family politics anymore." Later that afternoon, Mitchell called. "The restraining order expires in 6 months. We should discuss whether you want to renew it." "Renew it." He paused. "You're sure? Sometimes these situations cool down. Time changes things." "They tried to steal my home," I said. "Please file for renewal." "Of course," he said. 2-year extension?" "Yes." After I hung up, I sat in my home office, staring at the neat rows of books, the framed investment certificates, the soft afternoon sun pouring through the windows. The house felt peaceful, untouchable, mine. Some people would say I was cold, that I should forgive, that I should remember their family. But those people didn't stand on this porch with police sirens echoing off their driveway. They didn't watch their mother turn keys into weapons. They didn't hear their sister claim ownership of rooms she'd never stepped foot in. I knew who they were now, and I knew who I no longer had to be. The house, my house, was quiet again, not empty, just calm. I breathed deeply and let the stillness settle into me. If independence meant being alone, then so be it. Better alone in a life I built than surrounded by people who only ever saw me as something to take from.